Hi, I'm Gerard, Witch of Earth's Curious Goods, and today's video is all about pendulums. I just thought, A, I've never done a video on pendulums, and B, I remember starting out wishing that I saw some details on pendulums. It is such a great way of divination that I feel gets overlooked just because of the shine of the tarot. And don't get me wrong, I love me some tarot cards, but I think pendulums are just as great. So if this sounds interesting to you, keep on watching. And without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so first things first, I want to start off with what is a pendulum? You know, why should you be using it, or should you even be using it? And when it comes to a pendulum, the best way to think about it is, the definition of it is, it's just a simple weight suspended by a chain or rope or string, but it's a suspended weight that can rock back and forth, okay? Now, spiritually or traditionally for a lot of witches and spiritualists, it is a form of communication with, whether you work with deities or to the inner self. This video isn't to tell you which one it communicates with. That is for you to find out. I'm just going to show you how to use the pendulum, or what you could do to use a pendulum if you already have a pendulum. Or maybe you're already using a pendulum and you just don't feel connected to it as much. So this video can maybe you'll see something in this video and you'll want to try something else. Maybe it'll help you reconnect with your pendulum. So the first thing to show you is, I'll show you what my pendulum looks like. So for me personally, my pendulum is suspended by a chain. Now it could be a rope, it could be a string, it could be yarn, it could be handmade, it could be bought, as long as you can get your hand on a pendulum. And as you can see, this is a good example of a pendulum. So it rocks back and forth easily. At the very top of my pendulum, I do have something that can just help me grip it a little bit better. Not really necessary. And I chose the crystal amethyst. Amethyst is known to enhance psychic abilities, also to connect with the psyche or psychic abilities. So that's also one of the reasons why my pendulum is an amethyst. You of course want to use a pendulum or get a pendulum that calls to you, that connects with you. You feel sort of connected to what you've actually have. So it could be quartz, it could be tiger's eye, maybe your favorite crystal is aventurine, or it could be a lodestone or something of that nature. Just make the magic your own, okay? So if you just want to get the exact same pendulum type that I have, which is an amethyst suspended by a chain, by all means do it, but it's not necessary. Make the magic your own, okay? Now that you have your pendulum, what I'd like to do, I'm going to bring you guys in a little closer, is I'd like to calibrate it, okay? So right off the bat, if you already have a pendulum, you can start using it right away. But for those of you that have a pendulum, or maybe want to take it a step further, make it a little bit more advanced, and if you've seen my previous videos, you know how I feel about advanced magic or advanced techniques. It's layered techniques, right? Layered methods, methods that are put together. It's a little bit more intricate. That makes the magic a little stronger, in my opinion. If this is something that you think you want to try, by all means keep watching. If not, you might want to skip ahead to where I'm actually using the pendulum. But for starters, when you get your pendulum, if it was bought or even if it was given to you, you may want to do some sort of ritual or purification. Me personally, I did do that. So you might want to, you know, smudge it with Florida water, holy water. You might want to use Palo Santo or sage it up, or cedar, lavender smoke. You might want to cleanse your actual item because you don't know whose hands have already touched it. You don't know what it's connected to already. So I just want to go ahead and start with a blank slate. I feel like that's super important, right? When you're starting out, start from the beginning. Okay? Once you've done that, and I'm going to bring you in closer so you can see, I like to take 4 quartz crystals. Okay, quartz crystals are considered master crystals. Also, for me personally, I find that it helps with calibration, helps with energy, resetting of energy, and I'll show you how I do this. Okay, so I'll bring you right back. Okay. It's hand puppet time, hand puppet time. Anyhow, okay, so I take my crystals and I put them into what's called the 4 directions. So it's like north, east, south, and west kind of feel. So you have like a little circular area in the middle here, right? So we have an energy flow here. And what I like to do is I start off with my pendulum. I hold it with 2 hands, one at the top, one at the bottom. So I keep it really still. I want to make sure that the room that I'm in has no air current, has no distractions. You might also want it to be quiet. You don't want to have distractions where your mind starts to wander, okay? Some people, even with me, I'll breathe at least 3 or 4 times to kind of just get my breathing nice and normal. I'm nice and calm, getting rid of the mundane day and those energies, right? Okay, but use whatever method works for you. Okay, so now that I have this, I put it in the middle of where the crystals are. So I have my 4 quartz crystals, whatever crystals you're using. Maybe it doesn't have to be crystals, it could be just totems. I've seen some spiritualists, they'll use their deities. Maybe if you're polytheistic, maybe there's 4 of them that you work with. I've seen people use talismans and amulets and so forth. Whatever calls to you, you'll want to use. But for me personally, I feel like crystals work the best, but make the magic your own. So now that I have it in the middle, you want to ask yes and no questions only, okay? Are my eyes brown? And these are control questions, questions that you already know the answer to. You know, am I in the state of South Carolina? Because what we're trying to do is just connect, clear our mind, and we're going to, what I like to say, calibrate the pendulum, okay? So I'm just going to set it in the middle, let it go, and then I'm just going to ask a yes or no question. Am I shooting a YouTube video right now? You know, and what you're looking for, you're not looking for the answer. You're looking for a response from the pendulum. That's super important. You're not trying to get an answer out of the pendulum. You just want a reaction out of the pendulum, okay? You're trying to tap into the inner self. You're trying to tap into the divine. You're trying to tap into maybe the deity that you're working with, but that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to just get a response, not a... And these are just yes and no questions that you're going to be asking. Is my name Gerard? Am I a witch? Do I work with magic? Do I love magic? You know? Those kinds of questions. Questions that you know the answer to. But yeah, it's super important. It's just yes and no questions just to calibrate it, okay? Once you've done that, your pendulum is now calibrated and ready to be used. Now let's use the pendulum, okay? The weighted side of the pendulum, which for me it's the crystal, I'm going to put it in my power hand, okay? I write with my right, so that's going to be my power hand. This is the hand that I'm dominant with. If you're ambidextrous, hopefully I said that right, you can use either hand, okay? The other part of it, the part that usually holds it, is going to be the receptive part. You're going to hold it like this, okay? So my dominant hand has the weighted part, and my receptive hand, or the hand I don't write with, is the top of the chain or the rope or the part that you're going to be holding it with, okay? Once again, if you're ambidextrous, you can use either one. It doesn't really matter, okay? But if you're left-handed, you're going to use your left hand. If you're right-handed like me, you're going to put it in your right hand, okay? From here, you're just going to clear your mind. You're going to get the pendulum ready, see yourself connecting with it, see yourself tapping into the divine, your inner self, getting the answers that you're seeking, getting the answers that you're wanting, okay? Once you've done that, take a few minutes, breathe, calm, and I'm going to show you 2 methods, okay? The first method is to take a piece of paper and a pen. I like to use a permanent marker, okay? And you're just going to do 2 lines across, okay? All right. Then you're just going to take the pendulum, Switch it up. The weighted side is now down. You use your power hand to hold the very top now. Okay, so if I'm right-handed, so I'm holding the top with my right hand. If you're left-handed, you hold it with your left, just like you're going to be using a pen or pencil, okay? You're going to put it to the center of it, and we want to go ahead and get our bearings now, okay? So you'll just ask the pendulum, which way is yes? And it's going to swing. Okay, so my pendulum is left or right. So that's going to be yes. And I'll just mark my paper. Yes. Yes. Okay. Once again, I'll do that. Put it into the center of the cross. And I'm just going to ask, oh, hold on. Which way is no? Okay, and as you can tell, it's up and down, so that's going to be my no. So right now, that's what mine looks like. Yes or no? Yes is left or right. No is up and down. Okay? Now, some witches and spiritualists will just stop there, the yes or no. For me, sometimes the energies are off, or sometimes the pendulum or my inner self or the divine doesn't want to answer. So I like to add a secondary one, which is no answer, or I don't know, maybe. No answer is the best thing that I like to use. Of course, you want to just go ahead and use anything that kind of says that, hey, I don't want to answer you. Or maybe it's information that you're not supposed to have. So don't get mad by adding that. So like I said, some witches and spiritualists don't use the I don't know, or I'd rather not say, or no answer. Because they want the answer. For me, I put no answer because sometimes there's that information that you shouldn't have, in my opinion, or the energies are just not correct for the time that you're doing it. So it's, you know, giving it some sway. So then I ask that. Which way is no answer? All right. And as you can tell, mine is diagonal. So no answer is going to be, I'm going to do another line here, and I'm just going to label that no answer. Okay, and for me, that just lets me know that I'm not supposed to know that answer. Okay, so this is how my cross looks. Hold on, I'll bring it up a little closer. There we go. So you have yes, left and right, no, up and down, no answer is diagonal. Okay. And there we go. So now I have my bearings on how when my pendulum swings, and all you're going to do now is just ask yes or no questions, and your pendulum will either swing left or right for yes, up and down no, or diagonal for no answer. Super simple. Now I want to show you, for those of you that kind of don't want to use this paper method, there are what's called pendulum mats, and I'll show you what that looks like. All right, and here's a pendulum mat. I absolutely love pendulum mats. When I was practicing pendulums and when I was getting into pendulum work, I didn't even know these pendulum mats even existed. I always did that paper method, so that's why I wanted to show you guys that, just in case you're in a bind, or maybe you left your mat at home. Maybe you just don't have access to this, okay? So this is a pendulum mat, and this is just one of many, but this is one of the basic ones. Earth's Curious Goods does have this in the store, so this is kind of the one that I have. So as you can tell, it's the same type of thing. I have no, up and down, yes, left and right. I have maybe, rephrase, will not answer, try again. For those of you that are kind of old school, or those of you that have come across the 8-ball, there was that magic 8-ball and you used to shake it up and then you would wait for the answer. This is kind of what it almost makes me feel. But as you can tell with this, the pendulum didn't decide the directions, okay? So super important. Remember when I told you the calibration with the crystals? I'm going to bring those crystals back. And with the crystals, once again, I'm going to calibrate it to this mat, okay? And how you're going to do it, you are going to just put it to the center of the mat. You're going to go through all of the points on the mat, and you're just going to say it out loud while holding your pendulum in the center. Rephrase, no, maybe, yes, will not answer, no, try again. And your mat may look different, but either way, I would highly recommend to calibrate your pendulum to the mat. It really makes a difference on how it works with the mat, because you kind of want to connect the two to it. Still the same method. I would highly recommend to do some sort of ritual work with the mat. So you might want to purify it, cleanse it, so forth, as you did with your pendulum, so they connect well with one another. But you definitely, in my opinion, what I've found is when I calibrate it to the mat or to that paper, for instance, it works a lot better if it's already pre-made. Now, if you did the first method that I showed you, where it was the paper and the marker, and you let the pendulum decide the directions, then you don't have to worry about the calibration. But if it's already pre-made like this, you have to calibrate that pendulum, because the pendulum may be swinging left or right, and that is yes, or up and down, which is no. So calibrate it, make it work for you. And this is one of many methods. This is just one type of pendulum. There are pendulums where you can put essential oils in it. Some pendulums are made of wood. Some have chains. Some have strings. Some have a line of crystals all the way up to the point that you hold it. There's so many different pendulums. I would highly recommend to try multiple ones. I have tried many different ones till I centered on amethyst pendulum. You'll know if you're getting the right answers, if you're connecting to it, if you're very confident with it. Confidence is key when it comes to the pendulum. Make sure to clear your mind. You don't want to be thinking about dinner or lunch while you're using the pendulum. You only want to think of that yes or no question over and over in your head, okay? It should consume all thoughts until you get the answer of it, okay? Another little tidbit or tip to this is also, you don't want to have the answer in your head, okay, at all. You don't want to think about that. If you ask the question and you start thinking of the answer automatically, stop, reset, breathe, clear your mind, and only fill your head and thoughts with the question. Let your pendulum do the work for you, okay? Whether you're using a pendulum mat or using that first method, which it was just the paper and the marker, okay? But make sure to clear your head. You don't want to influence the pendulum with what you want as far as an answer goes, okay? You want to tap into the divine, you want to tap into your inner self, your inner psyche, what have you, okay? Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you're new around here, thanks for being here, and don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell, of course, so it'll notify you when I post new videos. And as always, stay earthy, stay magical, and don't forget, love yourself and others. Bye for now.